That's right. He was a quadriplegic once and a paraplegic once and cured himself both times with breath work. He's now a neurobiologist at the University of Florida, and we're going to take a deep dive in this Q&A to the effects of breath work on inflammation, nerves, growth factor, and its potential impact on aging, telomeres, and even the subconscious mind. Join us now. Welcome, 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 everybody. So nice to see all you guys. If you want to type in the chat box where you're calling in from, familiar faces, new faces. Hello, hello, hello. Dee Dee, oh my goodness, haven't seen you for a while.
Hi there.
So yeah, just type in the chat box where you're calling in from. We're so happy to have Leland Holgate here. He's a very popular guest on our show here. As people know, his incredible story, he was a quadriplegic once and a paraplegic once, healed himself with both times with breath work. And he is now studying the biomechanics of breath work and what it does to our nervous system and our biochemistry. And we can't wait to hear more about that. And then we'll talk about what the subconscious mind does. And I love these things because they work so well together. Just really powerful, quick ways to rewire the nervous system, get the biochemistry working in our favor, so that we can be the empowered mega beings that we're designed to be. So Leland, how has it been for you? I haven't connected with you since you started your training at the University of Florida. And what's new in the world of breath work?
Oh my goodness. Like, so of course, it's been another cycle and so much wisdom and knowledge gained and more connected over the past like year and a half. And of course, we've checked in, but this is like our first big check-in for quite a while. So yeah, I've got 3 semesters left. I took a semester off currently because I felt like, okay, need a little break from all the nerding out type thing. So yeah, 3 more semesters left and I'll finish my master's in biomedical neuroscience and move on to my doctorate in neurochemistry.
And what are the biggest wins that you've noticed so far? I mean, you've been doing breath work for how many years now?
Oh God, over 20 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the biggest wins, the biggest accomplishments that people are able to move, from here to here. What are you seeing as the biggest takeaway from breath work?
Yeah. So when you put my story to the side, which of course we'll dive into, so far from what we're noticing, and now is a huge part of my thesis, is a reversal of autoimmune and neurodegenerative diseases strictly with breathwork and meditation and all the modalities that I teach, because you're literally tapping in to the control system of your entire CEO, your nervous system. So we're seeing MS folks. One of them, Eugene, I don't know if he's with us, was part of my 12-week program called Awaken the Warrior Within. And he's been doing breath work since like October of 24. Came from the Dr. Joe crowd and had been doing that for about 2 years. So was getting some relief. Has primary progressive MS, the worst type out there, of course. So for 10 years, hadn't felt anything below his belly button. And immediately within the first few weeks started getting sensation in the nether regions and the gluteus and down his feet and legs, and within a year had taken his symptoms to 0. He turned off the progression of his disease. His doctors were like, what the hell are you doing? So he has 0 symptoms. He cut all of the involuntary muscle spasms down to absolutely 0, was sleeping like a baby. And after that 12-week program, his next big hurdle that he overcame is he walked up the stairs messily, very messy like, and holding the wall was his story. I was like, dude, let's just sink in that you walked up the stairs for the first time in 14 years after a solid year of breath training and rewiring your nervous system. And he's not the only one. So we're just seeing more of these neurodegenerative and autoimmune diseases more positively affected than anything inside of the scope of breath physiology.
And explained in a nutshell, what is actually going on? Are the nerves getting stimulated to grow more than normal? Is inflammation being dialed back? Is it a combination of the two, or are there more factors involved? Is there growth hormone that's being generated and released? What's happening there?
The answer is yes.
Mm.
So we're noticing all of those things across the board. So when my tenured professor that I study under is the guy that I had been talking about before I got into UF. You've heard me deify him quite often, Gordon Mitchell. And he is the head of the neuroscience department, especially linking breath physiology and everything else. And what we're noticing is during acute intermittent hypoxia mixed with cyclic hyperventilation, which are two parts of what I teach, we're noticing an increase of neurogenesis, actual neurogenesis, like the creation of new neurons, new nerve cells, which we deemed impossible back in even the 90s, just not too long ago. That was back when neuroplasticity was still just a baby and was a theory versus an actual knowing. So now we're seeing angiogenesis, which is the creation of new blood cells, new white blood cells, all of these things, neurogenesis, new nerve cells kicking up, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is one of the most healing and growth-related hormones when it comes to the central nervous system. So we're seeing all of these things substantially increase, even with just acute practices. But when you turn it into a practice, a daily practice, you're literally rewiring your nervous system. So yeah, growth hormones turn on, stem and progenitor cells kick up, like all these things happen that usually only happen in the first 0 to 7 years of your life.
Hey guys, studies are showing that 68% of people that watch podcasts regularly don't click the subscribe button. Do me a huge favor. If you like this content, click subscribe so other people know where to go for the cool stuff. Thank you.
And when we think about breath work, we often think about hyperventilation, but I understand that hypoventilation also, so there's different things that people can do, and it's not just, hey, we're going to do this one audio tape every day. Tell us about some of the cascade of I don't want to call it that. The intelligence of applied practices.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. This is why I built the Welcome Home method, which is my breath modality, centered around all of these different breath modalities and styles. Because like we see, and this is for anybody that practices, I'm not poo-pooing on anybody's way, I promise you. But what I'm saying is I studied under Wim Hof. I studied under Stan Grof. And like you were mentioning, it's a play this recording. This is the way we do it. You do that over and over and over again. But that cookie cutter solution never works, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It has to be personalized to that person. And when it comes to breath, to your point, there's multiple sides that we have to take in. There's hyper, the excess ventilation where we're moving through. And then there's the hypo, which is actually where 80% of our focus goes, no matter what it is, because the more you can slow down your ventilative process, the more CO2 is created inside of the body. And one thing that we know now is they're going to have to remake all the neurobiology, all the biology books, because what did they talk about it? And still, even in the graduate courses I'm taking, they talk about CO2 as a waste gas. And now we know it is not a waste gas. It is actually the one compound in your body that has the key to unlock your hemoglobin and release oxygen, creating actual cellular respiration. So to your point, when I have an asthma client come my way, the first thing we do, we don't step into the hyperventilative side of the Welcome Home method. We actually move through carbon dioxide tolerance and working on exhale holds and shifting breath patterns, which completely shift everything inside of your nervous system and your lung structure.
And we think about the advanced yoginis and the really revered ones. They were thought to not breathe at all.
Exactly. Yes. And that's when you look inside of yoga. And that's what I love is I connect East with West. Because when you look in yoga, they have these things called kumbhakas. And kumbhakas are the holds, right? You breathe and then I tell you to breathe in and hold, or I tell you to exhale and hold. And in those moments, those are the moments where you find every activation. That's where the Kundalini is actually starting to rise. Same thing with the version of the breath that I teach. And then Dr. Joe has his own version of the pulling the muscles in. And all of these things come with what? Lack of breath. You're not breathing at that point in time. You're holding, you're pulling things in, you're sitting in that space. So yeah, to your point, that is like one of the big aspects we focus on now.
And people who are chronically stressed, chronically anxious, of course, I know from my work that by rewiring the brain and getting one's awareness of one's triggers and oneself out of the way, getting rid of the blocks, that makes a big difference. But when one is anxious all the time, when one is stressed all the time, when one is in fight or flight all the time, the breath can either become hyperventilation constantly or hypoventilation constantly. Neither are good. So can you comment on how when somebody's in a constant state of stress, fight or flight, trauma response, how that adversely affects the biology and how breath work can help counteract that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, built into the biological survival mechanism, and can you mute everyone? I hear some feedback coming through.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I have to go figure out how to do that individually. I know there's a button you can press and get everybody muted all at once. I'm just not sure.
If you hit mute all and then uncheck allowing to unmute themselves and then click yes, you should be good.
Okay. Let's see if this takes
So to your point though, the whole control mechanism is built into your reptilian brain, your brainstem, right? Your survival function. And inside of your brainstem is the pre-Botzinger complex. It controls rhythmic breath, it controls blood pressure. Everything basically comes, your RAS, what tells you to wake up and what tells you to go to sleep and allows you to focus on what you need to focus on, all right there in your brainstem. So of course, what's the control mechanism that is A, automatic, and B, able to be controlled? It's your breath. So as you mentioned, you can either A, get stuck in the story, and then guess what? The machine's going to run by itself, whether you're running it or not. So if you allow the machine to run, of course, you get short, choppy, rapid breaths that are mostly going to be in and out of your mouth. Now you're pumping blood to your feet, to your hands. You're taking all of the function out of your executive cortical areas and creating what we call cortical inhibition. You're cutting off the decision-making processes and all of these things that allow you to know, oh, I'm safe. And now next thing you know, you're in that state of fight or flight. And it takes literally less than 10 to 30 seconds for you to just become aware. No control needed on anything. And that's the start with every practice that I have, is just sitting in that space for a moment, noticing what's coming up. And then within 10 to 30 seconds, taking control of that rhythmic breath function and just extending them in and out can make this cascade of well over 800 or 900 different neurotransmitters and modulators. Like, you instantly shift everything inside of your body, including the DNA.
That's beautiful. So I would love to open it up to questions. We've got people calling from all over the world, Panama, Alberta, Canada, Florida, Northern Virginia. So if anybody just wants to raise their hand, I can unmute you and we can have questions for Leland. Or if you've got questions about how the subconscious mind operates and how one can quickly rewire that so that stress patterns can be changed.
Because our work is like this. It really is. Like, our work intertwines beautifully. There's a cross between both of ours as well, too, because when I'm working with somebody in one-on-one sessions, guess what the first thing I do is? I have them work with the extraocular muscles, taking the view up for that. And then, I love where our work just intertwines perfectly.
So who's got a question? Actually, I'm going to ask one more, and then anybody else just raise your hand and chime in there. What about anti-aging? People just...
Oh my God. Yeah. So we have two different ages that we judge the body on, right? You have your biological age, which you can't change. That's just it's a chronological age of your body from 0 days to whenever you pass. But you have the physiological age, and that can actually be reversed. You can actually lengthen telomeres. You can actually, as I've mentioned, create neurogenesis, angiogenesis. You can create tighter skin. You can shift. There's so many aspects of the body where neuroscience is still, and keep in mind, every field is still majorly theoretical. We're pretty solid in neuroanatomy, neurochemistry, biochemistry, all these other things. But as we continue to dive deeper into the science, it's just proven the spiritual side, and all these yogis and everything they've known for thousands of years. We're finding more and more like, oh, we didn't know what the hell we were talking about. Look, there's new nerves being created, and you can look under fMRI and under deep microscope and watch nerve cells walking up axons and then taking dendrites and connecting and making a new neural pathway and creating new neurons, new nerve cells. So it's fascinating the deeper we go into this.
And it was just a few decades ago that they didn't think that was possible in the adult brain. Amazing.
You're stuck with what you got. Sorry.
Yeah. how wrong we were.
Yeah.
So what is the current way that telomeres are being looked at, assessed? How do we know that telomeres are getting longer? What's the test that people are using for that?
Yeah, so what they're using is a lot of the fluorescent dyes type tests. So a lot of staining and things, that advanced sides of staining, of course, because Golgi and colleagues had staining using silver oxide and other things, which was our first view of, oh, look, there's a neuron. It actually exists. Now it's not like Santa Claus anymore. We can actually see its form and function. But now there's advanced staining methodologies and, of course, fMRI and deep microbiology that we can see. So when they go through a lot of the staining, you'll see with these fluorescent patterns, sides of the DNA structure, and also the neurotransmitters and modulators that are being created. So now they get a really, really fine picture of telomeres lengthening or shortening by these fluorescent staining models that they use. So, fascinating.
What amount of time does one need to do a practiced breath work program to changes in telomere length? And for those that are on the call that maybe aren't familiar with what a telomere is, it's the end of the DNA strand, and it's known to be linked to aging. So the older we get, the more those telomeres, they're almost like they've been likened to the little plastic tip on a shoelace. It gets deteriorated and wound down as we age. So anything we can do to lengthen telomeres is basically lengthening aging.
Exactly. Yeah. To your question's point, like literally you can, again, tighten your skin, reverse your physiological age. And yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. And we're still just at the tip of the spear.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, this is a really fabulous time to be a scientist or in this field in any way.
Tracy, welcome. What question do you have? Oh,
thank you. I just turned it off. So I'm new to all of this. I have a million questions. But I think probably the top question that I would have, and I don't have any background in any knowledge of breath work. And I don't know Leland's full story. I don't know how he discovered breath work. I don't know how he used it to heal himself. So I have two questions that I think are most pressing for me. One is, how can breath work be used to heal the body? And how is breath work used to reprogram your subconscious mind?
I love it. Two of my favorite questions. And I figure after these two questions, if you want, Tara, I'll give like the short of my story so you guys understand. And it'll kind of tie in to the answer to these two questions. So when you move into practicing breath work, what we're now noticing is I claim over 1,500 different chemicals and compounds are being activated. That's on the small scale. Because when you look at the genes inside of the body, well over 25,000 different genes, each one has different markers, different neurotransmitters and modulators that it's involved in making. So you have like chemical compounds and cocktails in your body, ranging from a variety of 80 to 100,000 different mixtures and cocktails that can be created. So when you move into a practiced session of breath work, and this is, keep in mind, y'all, I'm talking about take 3 times through the day and do 15 minutes of breath work. And you're literally activating over 1,500 different chemicals, compounds, neurotransmitters, growth hormones, and all of these other things in those 3 points through the day. And what does that sound like? That sounds like what they do in a certain way in the Western sense. Take this pill in the morning, then at lunch, and then in the evening, because it's going to give a chemical cascade to the body whenever you take that pharmacology, whatever the pharmacologically they give you. So in the same way, you can do that with your breath work by enacting that pre-Botzinger complex built into your survival mechanism, your brain stem. Changing your rhythmic breath tells the body, that's the subconscious and conscious signal at the same time. Hey, pay attention. Something is strategically stimulating us right now. That means we need to activate a different set of compounds and chemicals right now. So you're literally tapping in and becoming your own internal pharmacist. Just again, 3 15-minute points through the day. And in those 3 points, you'll create well over 1,500 different chemicals and compounds. That is, again, when I say 1,500 different, it may sound like, oh my God, that's a lot. I'm literally minimizing the potential. What's that?
Yeah, Leland, I'm actually just posting in the chat box, the chat, the 2 interviews that you and I did together, so they can get a full background on you.
Cool. Awesome.
Everything that you've achieved with your breath work.
Love it. Awesome. Yeah. So that's what you're doing that's how you can use breath work to heal. Now, the thing is where I come in is I strategically create. So I have programs that are out there, but I also work one-on-one with people, because the breath work you might need is going to be different than the breath work Dr. Tara is going to need. The breath work Dr. Tara is working with herself could be different than the next person over and over and over. So that's one of the things is, depending on what you need, whether it's a CO2 rich type of breath work practice, or you need a medium in between cyclic hyperventilative and hold your breath, acute intermittent hypoxia, those are the things that I help prescribe, so to speak, in the breath sense of things. So I even have a program called the Medicine Cabinet, which is a mixture of 30 different practices, and each one helps with muscle pain, or one is for feminine times of the month, one is for neurological conditions and spinal cord injuries. So depending on what you need in the body, you can activate that yourself. And that's what I'm working with and what I'm pushing forward with my thesis and graduate work.
And Tracy, I'm going to answer the other half of that question, which is
please.
Reprogramming the subconscious mind. And Leland, you can actually chime in there too, and just what was it like for you when you were struggling up against something and you just wanted to go into your subconscious mind? We worked together and you wrote that program. Would you just want to share briefly what that was like?
Yeah, it was effortless. It was easy. It was in a way fun almost, because there was no doing. That was the fun part about working with the subconscious, and what you do, Dr. Tara, is there's just nothing you need to do. And it's a great message to take away from that, like, oh, I could just be, okay.
Yeah, and so our conscious mind is only processing about 40 bits of information per second. Our subconscious mind is processing 40 million bits of information per second. So when you through hypnosis, what I work with, when you go directly into the subconscious mind, and what I do is different from most hypnotherapists. Most hypnotherapists are talking to the conscious mind in a relaxed state, but truly bypassing the conscious mind and getting to the subconscious mind is a game changer, because once the subconscious mind wants a different outcome, it's like a rider on an elephant. The conscious mind might want something, but if that elephant wants something else, you're not going to get that. Whether it's, exercising more, being kinder to yourself, taking that extra risk in your business, whatever it is, if that elephant says no way, then no matter how much your conscious mind wants an outcome, I'm peaceful, I'm strong, I'm loving, I take care of myself. If that rider wants one thing but the elephant wants something else, the elephant's always going to win. So once the elephant decides, oh yeah, that is what I want, then it is effortless. And I've watched people change all kinds of things, whether it's stress, anxiety. I had military veterans with 100 on their PTSD score say after 2 sessions, it can't be this easy. People have gotten over being allergic to everything but 5 foods, chronic daily panic attacks, seizure disorders, and all kinds of things. And again, that's just by dialing the stress back. And what Leland is so fantastic about is using the breath, because that is so entwined with our nervous system to signal to the body, what it takes to get those neurotransmitters firing and wiring in a healthy state rather than an unhealthy state, to get the neurogenesis occurring, and to optimize anti-aging, vibrant health, things like that. Did I wrap that up fairly well, Leland?
Yeah, no, you did epically. And, the cool part again, where our work intertwines, is she's bypassing one of the most, when it's activated, like one of the most interfering sides of your brain, the default mode network and the prefrontal system and decision-making processes. She is bypassing all of that circuitry and just getting into the thick of it. Like mentioned, 40 million bits versus 40,000 bits. It's a substantial, we actually both have a similar slide in our presentation where we show the conscious mind as the iceberg. It's only about 3 to 5%. And here's funny. This is actually recent. What we're noticing is that 3 to 5% we give to the conscious mind, there might even be 2 to 3% of that. That's a trick of the subconscious mind to make you think you've got 5% control of conscious function, when in fact, you've only got 2 to 3% executive conscious function over your existence. The rest of it, 96 to 97%, lives in the subconscious mind. And she accesses that directly with passing all of those. I got to think, quantify all those systems. You don't need to worry about it.
Tracy, did we answer your question? Cool.
Awesome.
Well, welcome. We're thrilled to have you here. Heather, what's up in your world?
Hello. Thank you guys for putting this on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why my video.
There she is.
Oh, I'm back and I'm not sideways. Question. So I took Leland's program and oh my gosh, you guys. Yeah. Life-changing. MS, fatigue, gone. But anyways, this isn't about me. So of the 3 times a day, 15-minute practice that we're going to do, can you pick, because there's so many great juicy breaths, if you had to pick one or maybe even 2, can you think of one that would just be the best for us to go to?
Yes, and I love that. Yeah, Heather is one of my favorites. I know you're not supposed to play favorites as a parent, but you can't help it. So, anyways, she's one of our Awaken alumni. So she went through basically when you go through that 12-week course with me, you come out of it with an associate's level neuroscience and psychology degree. So to your point, always, this is coming. I'm going to tell you in that moment, do a 30 to 60 seconds heart focused breathing and see what you need, because then that's going to be your momentary best. What are you feeling? Are you feeling agitated and all over the place, or just a little jittery? If that's the case, you might need more CO2 tolerance, maybe some cyclic hyperventilation with exhale holds versus the inhale holds. If you find yourself in a very low energy state where you're like, I'm feeling good. I don't have much energy right now. Then you're going to do a lot of the cyclic hyperventilation and inhale holds. You'll do a lot of in and out of the right nostril to connect with your left hemisphere of your brain. And if you kind of notice, this is what I'm giving you is my typical 90-ish% of the time what I do through the day myself. I follow that regimen because usually by lunchtime, things level off. So I'm in that kind of low energy space naturally because, I spike my cortisol on purpose in the morning to keep my circadian rhythm. So I need a little extra energetic in the afternoon. And then in the evening, I go back to a mixture of 50-50 inhale holds and exhale holds and a lot more rescue type breath where it's, 3 to 4 seconds in and 6 to 8 seconds out type of stuff. And for those that don't know, there's 2 practices on the YouTube, a minute called 60 Seconds to Freedom and a 5-minute practice that you can actually use for yourself. I just leave those available for everybody so you can try out some of the things we're all talking about here. I hope that answered your question though, Heather.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chief.
What an amazing testimonial. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, Heather.
Yeah, I'm glad you came in. Has to be a little bit about you because your story is amazing too.
Truly epic.
Yeah, so there's just more stories, and we're noticing the same thing with Parkinson's patients, with not just MS, but a lot of the ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, a lot of these, like I said, autoimmune that are based somewhere inside of a neurodegenerative condition are positively affected just more than anything I've ever seen. Because now you're dealing, when you look at it, you have 3 nervous systems, right? You have your central nervous system, you have the autonomic nervous system, and you have your enteric nervous system. And what we're working with serves all 3 sides of the central, peripheral, and enteric nervous system. So you're literally serving all sections of the body, everything that's needed to make a change or a shift.
So you mentioned being aware of what you're feeling after some of the practices, so you know which practices to enhance and which ones to dial back. What, if any, contraindications are there? Is there anybody that needs to be particularly careful when doing breath work?
This is a great question and one of my favorites again. So yeah, there's a few different conditions, of course, to be aware. If you have epilepsy, so you're working on, with seizures, that means you have an already excitable brain. So the last thing we need to do is a whole bunch of cyclic hyperventilation with you and all this strategic excitatory stuff. So for those that are dealing with schizophrenia as well, again, that's an excitatory issue. So I would caution against cyclic hyperventilation. Newly pregnant, and I'm talking 5 to 6 weeks, because baby's neural tube is forming, which becomes brain and spinal column. So the last thing we want to do is get in there and jiggle up the system while baby's neural tube is forming, so it can, a functioning brain and spinal column. Other than that, there's really not too many other contraindications that are out there that we have to be aware of. Of course, there's always some personalized needs that we take into account. So for folks like that are newly pregnant, that have schizophrenia, epilepsy, all the other things that used to be contraindicated, of course, they used to tell people with asthma, like, ooh, watch out with breath work. Actually, it is one of the best things to move through respiratory therapy, CO2 tolerance, all of these other things. So yeah, those are the ones that I would really watch out with. Everything else, we can kind of make shifts in whatever your personal needs are. Even with those folks, there's something I can do with them, because a lot of their needs are going to be hitting the brake pedal versus the gas pedal,
So what about people that historically had high blood pressure? And high blood pressure often is an issue as people get older. Done properly, can breath work help bring blood pressure down?
Absolutely. It's one of the number one leading symptoms that is solved when you move into breath work, because again, the blood pressure control is controlled by the pre-Botzinger complex. That same complex of nerves that runs your rhythmic breathing controls your blood pressure and all these other systems as well. So of course, when they start, especially if they're on the extreme high blood pressure side, We focus more on the exhale holds. We focus more on CO2 tolerance training, opening up arteries and veins. But consistently, I've had dozens and dozens of people now that have had hypertension or hypotension and have come off medications. And I'm not promises, so I
Right. This is general information. You could consult your doctor and make sure that
exactly right. Exactly.
And I've also seen that with people that do my work. They're able to, with the blessing of their doctors, remove medications that they perhaps don't want to be on anymore, that, they're struggling with side effects of the medications, and they have chosen a different path for themselves.
Yeah.
Sharon, welcome. Oops.
Oh, and I think I'm seeing the future. I know her question. It's right there in the comment. Did you have another question to go with that as well?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi. Hey, I'm just getting on here this morning. How would one start working with you?
Yeah.
How does that happen? I've got some existing weakness in my right leg from MS. I went overseas and had an autoimmune stem cell transplant, and I believe that was all that trajectory was all changed. But I still have this weakness in my right leg that's fucking bothering me, and I can't dance. And that's what I want to do. That's my chief aim. And so, and I've got a friend with a spinal cord injury, and this gentleman is. How do we start working with you, Leland? Is it all through YouTube, or what is your program?
So YouTube is a good start for you to get an example of it, feel it inside of yourself. And in fact, I don't make any promises, but I would be surprised if you went on YouTube, did the 5-minute impression that I have, and didn't feel down that leg specifically, because the body knows where all those neurotransmitters and healing compounds need to go. And then from there, you can go on to the website, which is thewillfulwarrior.com. And there's a contact section right there. And you contact me. I'll get that notification and email, and I'll respond right away. And we can talk about what your personal starting point would be.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Boy, you're amazing. You're amazing. You're a rock star. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just a mirror of you guys. I promise you. The stories that are piling up now dwarf mine. I'm telling you.
Good to know. Thanks.
Super cool. Thank you so much, Sharon. Awesome. What other questions do we have? The only silly question is the one that's not asked. So don't be shy.
The one you think of an hour from now where you're like, shit.
Yeah, right. Whoops, sorry.
I'll ask a question.
Hey, Mark, welcome.
What's up, brother?
So good to see you. One of my brothers from our first retreat, actually, down in Puerto Vallarta.
That's right. I'm glad to see you still have all your power, even though you don't have your hair.
Thank you.
So I listened to a fascinating Richard Feynman piece yesterday about how basically everything physical matter, emerges or is created from carbon. And it's interesting listening to you talk about, carbon dioxide and how we use that. And obviously I'm familiar with the breath, and some of the other sort of themes, I guess, that I'm dancing with in my own life are relating as it relates to health, mental and physical health, is sort of the harmony between intention and getting out of the way. And the stillness and letting things intuitively, like in the infinite wisdom, divine wisdom, just do what it's intended to do and not interfere. And then at the same time, also intentionally bring awareness, to those places that are in my conscious mind. So I just, it's sort of a general question, but I'm just, how to make the immaterial material, from a physical standpoint, and obviously refer a lot to junk DNA, which we know isn't really junk, but then again, how the body's innate wisdom knows where to send those, what it needs to do and when and how and why. So yeah, maybe just from a little bit more of the chemical cocktail concept to
Yeah,
elaborate. Thank you. Thank you.
absolutely. My pleasure. So good to see you,
Yeah,
brother.
you
Yeah,
too, man.
and actually, I'll alley-oop this to you because again, this is where Dr. Tara and I's work like really coincides and intertwines with each other because you've got the neurochemical side, and funny enough, what is in control of that? Again, if we talk about 96 to 97% of the function of the brain itself, it's what? It's controlled by the subconscious mind. So to your point, getting out of the way is the work. Like setting the intention is the easy side of the work. And then finding yourself in those kumbakas, which aren't just physical holds when you're breathing, it's a subconscious or mental awareness that you're creating where you've created the intention with your breath. Now getting out of the way and just holding in that space for the moment to allow the body's intuitive and natural processes to take over and to start create all of those things that you need. And in those points when you're holding, that's when, funny enough, again, to your point, your carbon dioxide starts to elevate. And as I've already mentioned, carbon dioxide doesn't just release oxygen from hemoglobin. For those that don't know, when you breathe, that gas is then taken in and in the alveoli turned into a water-soluble compound. That oxygen is grabbed by hemoglobin, which is like its Uber. You can think of hemoglobin as the Uber of your bloodstream. Grabs the oxygen, cages it up. The only thing that can unlock it, carbon, to Mark's point. The only thing that opens that hemoglobin up and allows the cellular respiration for that oxygen to soak into the actual cellular structures of your body. And not only that, it's also a signaling compound. It is multifaceted. There's 18 different functions that we know of right now, including the signaler to your enteric nervous system to start creating immunoglobulin. Immunoglobulin is the serum that your gut produces that creates your immune system. Your T cells, your white blood cell structures are created again because you're elevating your carbon. So with breath work, and that's where the work comes in, is the true work is setting the intention with your breath. What does the body need right now? What is the body calling for? And getting into the heart will allow you to figure out again, what does it need? Let me get into my main brain here and access true knowledge and wisdom. And then from there, you set the intention with your breath and then just get out of the way and watch the magic happen, feel the magic happen, which then the subconscious mind takes over.
Thank you for that. That's a nice way of putting it. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, brother. And that again is why Dr. Tara and myself's work just like puzzle pieces.
It's pretty magic what can happen when you just remove the old filters that are stuck from it's kind of crazy the way human beings are created. We're not optimized. We go through stress and struggle and the subconscious mind picks up messages. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. And those are like blinders, and we can't see. And the breath work and going into the subconscious and removing those just pops open those blinders so that life is easier. And I love the way that Leland titled his work, The Welcome Home Method, because it does feel like coming home. It's the most familiar, unfamiliar feeling there is. And in my slide deck, I've got a picture of Glenda, the Good Witch in The Wizard of Oz, because it's like I'm not giving anybody anything they don't already have. It's just taking away the blinders that were installed and prevent all of us from just experiencing bliss and our heightened sense of being.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's funny too, because it connects to the center focal foundational point of neuroscience. The number one principle is noise versus signal. If there's a lot of noise in the system, if you're stuck in that story, your original signal that you entered into this world with, that knows absolutely everything, that is tuned into the source, to the void, all of that is overcome by the noise, the story, the things that, again, get set in and that we dig in on, like she just mentioned. So the more noise we can remove, the more we can get away from all of those data points that are hitting us. That's one of the things we have to realize. It takes a lot of intention in this way of society, because you're getting hit by 60 to 80,000 data points every hour, where your ancestors were maybe hit with 20 to 100 through the day. Yeah. So there's all of this noise that's out there that dims the original signal, that signal. So it's the number one principle in neuroscience. If you can just quiet down the noise, you'll notice, oh, I'm not broken. I just have to be and let things happen.
And the other thing that I love about what crosses over is the science aspect of it, because there's tons of theories out there, and I really don't, theories are fine. I don't really care about one or the other. At the end of the day, I just want to know, are the headaches and migraines gone? Is the allergies gone? Is the ability of a person able to navigate through life and have healthy boundaries and all the goodies that one wants in life, has that increased over the 90 days? I'm always looking for those outcomes.
Yeah, those are the best metrics to measure, right? That's the same thing for me. I'm like, we don't need to worry about anything else other than just measuring where you are at as far as, your acceptance and just your overall experience. Like, you're within 90 days, if you work with either one of us, or if you work with both of us, like, my goodness, the experience of life is going to change.
Actually, that would be fun. We should get a database of people that have
I think that would be really cool to see the crossover. Oh, man. Like, I program them on the breath and physiology side. And then again, alley-oop, here you go. They're perfect, ready to go for Dr. Tara's work.
So I'm curious, Leland, if somebody were to do that, I'm guessing both simultaneously would probably be the way to go, rather than one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because then we're wiring in both being at the same time. Like, oh my God.
Well, the breath work would have just exponentially more place to go when you remove the old subconscious filters preventing.
Yeah, it'd be the true yin and yang. They'd be serving each other. Like, the physiological aspect is going to get better because of subconscious. Oh my God, the subconscious got better because of physiological.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that.
We're definitely going to we're going to entertain that one. That one's powerful. Wow.
Any other questions? We're so grateful to have everybody here. You guys are what make this community, and I can't say how often in the mastermind group that I have, and I know Leland's got his mastermind groups, but everybody supports each other, and everybody's wins affects others. When people have questions, the array of Mark has many times been a light and a guide to other people in my mastermind group, and it's just it's a beautiful thing, because we, as we get all entwined in technology. There's a book I read years ago when I was at UCLA called The Pursuit of Loneliness, and yeah, seriously, and it's like we prize. It's like, who, as you get more and more successful, the more successful person has the biggest house and the longest driveway and the biggest fences around their house. And it's like we're getting further and further apart when it just feels so good to have a community. And I love Leland doing that. And I'm doing the same thing on my end. And it's just, in fact, I'm hosting a drum circle on Sunday. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. The golden thread is always the community, right? Always. Oh, look, and we got Michael, another one of our alumni, also been working with me as our event planner.
Hey, guys. Yeah, awesome. Dr. Tara, amazing stuff. Thank you for hosting this. Fantastic. I had a question about, when we started talking about the neurons, I started thinking about the synaptic connections and the forming of, I remember seeing this visual about the forming of the neurites off the end of the neurons to make those connections, and how that was described as learning. And then I started to think that, could it also be memory as well? Like, are we remembering? Is it not just, is it something that maybe we have known at some time? I don't want to get too esoteric on this, but just started thinking about that. And then Mark came up with this like killer question, which I can't stop thinking about. And yeah, like sometimes I think exactly that. Like, how do I get out of the way? Like when I want to I get into that phase where I'm in that creation and I get that feeling of creation and just staying out of the way and just, letting it go. And I don't know. I just think that, to me, it's when I come back to the breath, it's the beginning of changing the feeling, because everything really resonates out of the feeling, for me at least, is just like, if you really feel it, it generally, it really happens if it's true. So, yeah,
That's
so I suffer from the same thing as Mark. If it's not suffering, maybe it's just still learning or remembering.
That is such a juicy question. I love, 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 love that question, because when we're doing breath work, or having blocks removed from our subconscious mind, there's just this sense of, oh my gosh, this is what I've forgotten. This is coming home, and it's like every cell in your body feels lit up, and there's an effortlessness to it. Gosh, I don't even know where to begin to unpack that, but
Yeah, that's a good
hard
one.
because
It's a real good one.
Yeah, because and then you brought it up. I mean, I was sitting there watching monks lighting candles here over the Chinese New Year's, and I'm going like, like they're not like stopping and checking their Instagram, or they're looking at their phone or anything. No, they're like, I think they've been doing it for a week. They haven't stopped, right? So, like the distractions are just crazy, like, and how we let this infiltrate us and change our beliefs, like, and it's just totally like disconnecting. And I think that that's where it comes in when you really can close your eyes and start taking those breaths and just really centering yourself. But at least that's what's been working for me. And thanks to Leland's teachings, it's really catapulted my my trajectory and my remembering, basically.
I love
actually,
it. I love the way you said that. Go ahead, please. You take it.
well, it's interesting. I'm just going to comment. The creatives that I work with, I've literally had Grammy nominees fly off my table and say, "Give me a pen and a paper. I just wrote my next song." I've had artists, create their next beautiful work of art. People get clarity on, their life's path, and it's that connection to all that is, that the more there's a connection and a flow, the more we're living our authenticity, and the health goes right along with that, because if you're not living in your authenticity, if you are blocked and your soul is wanting more than you're providing it access to, that's where dis-ease comes in, disharmony comes in. So there's a big connection to ill health, and not being your full authentic self. So
Yeah,
Leland,
absolutely.
I'm sure you've got lots of comments on that too.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, piggybacking on that, when we take the Spain model into account, right? The scale of positive and negative emotions is what Spain, that stands for. When you look at that, it's not love. When they tested these things, and they've recreated these tests over and over and over again, it's not love that was the most powerful energy or highest vibration that they could measure inside of the human emotional experience. It was actually authenticity. It was authenticity. Just authentically being yourself was 2 to 3 times higher than what we look at as unconditional love, because in authenticity, it's a high vibration, but it's also neutral. You don't have to do anything to get it. You don't have to feel anything to get it. You just got to be you. And the beautiful part about that is when you take everything that Michael said and what you just said as well into account, even in neuroscience, we're finally having the consciousness conversation, right? Now that we understand neuroplasticity, neurogenesis is real, all of these, what we used to call pseudoscience, are proven science now. Now we're having the conscious talk about consciousness, where when we look at memory, to your point, Michael, it is not in your long-term memory. I can't tell you as a neuroscientist where that is stored. We are still theoretical on that point inside of neuroscience. I know short-term memory is in your hippocampus. Also context and these things are processed in the hippocampus. But what we're looking at now, and the emerging science that's coming out, is the memory itself is in the crystalline water structure of the body. The entire body is what holds your memory. Memory itself is in the water crystalline structure. So Long-term memory is held throughout all of your muscle cells, all of your tissues, all of these things coinciding together. And now again, finally, we're tuning into like, okay, this energy and these things that are being created it's being run by a powerhouse somewhere. But where is that? So to your point, what we're looking at now is memory is not a reviewing and a re-experiencing of the past. You're reconstructing signals that you've already had. Peel away consciousness completely. And again, you're listening to a neuroscientist say this, somebody that is talking to some of the expert neuroscientists out there, and they're all having the same conversation too, because we recognize what we have understood about long-term memory, what we actually know, the information that is available to us is way more expansive than we actually understood. I mean, just show of hands out there, who has done something and you just learned something, or something fell on you that you did not know for maybe even a decade or two in your life, but now you understood it at a visceral, internal level. I'm almost positive all of you have had an experience like that, right? Where it's just a knowing hits you. And that's where you either intentionally created it, or oops, I found a place of neutrality where I just got the hell out of the way. And all of a sudden that tapped in to the void, to consciousness, whatever that may be, call it what you will. I don't, wash anybody with spiritual or esoteric knowledge, whatever you call that. We have access to that. And that is literally the powerhouse of our knowledge and creation and manifestation and everything else. So, yeah. Great point to bring up, Michael. Thank you.
And what's really fun is that it's becoming apparent that consciousness is not located in the brain at all.
Boom. 0% of consciousness is in the brain. It is all outside of it.
So we're basically TV antennas that are picking up signals, and how we train that antenna to dial into signals is our experience of reality and life.
Yes. Yes. And if you look at it, there's this theoretical physicist that you might know back in the 50s, Einstein, who actually posited that exact thing, that the brain is just a transmitter and a receiver. Like, we keep thinking that all of the functions and everything else and all the experiences and the fallout of your life, or, what you get from the decisions that you make comes from within, when really you're literally just getting out of the way, and what you're allowing that transmission and the receiving to happen from the original signal point, from wherever that anchor is or wherever that void is. What we're talking about is consciousness. You're, again, just getting the hell out of the way and letting that reception and transmission happen. Like, what do you want to experience? Feel more of that and get the hell out of the way.
Yeah, it's like, it's not just the signal. You're tuning the projector as well. So, like,
a really good way to say it, which is why when we look at neuroscience, all the terms are built in there, guys. Neurotransmitters, neuromodulators. What does that sound like? You got one that's transmitting, the other one you're modulating. Just like those old UHF, tuning things on your TV. So you got neurotransmitters and you got neuromodulators. So you're literally just allowing it to happen.
And as most teachers in this space will say, it's a frequency game.
It is.
Everything. Yeah. Frequency.
And I think the distractions are actually the static. I mean, all of these
noise versus signal.
The noise. Yeah. Awesome. I love this.
Yeah, me too. This has really been a great morning. So I'm just putting in the chat box. Previously I put in the 2 interviews I did with Leland on my podcast, Next Level Healing. We've had some amazing guests. So you can check that out on all platforms. I put my contact information in there, consulttara.com. If somebody would like to talk to me and see if this is a good fit for them, to go into their subconscious mind, find out what their biggest block is, and rewire that in 90 days or 3 sessions. It's very quick. We can have that conversation. Leland, do you want to put your contact information in there where people can find the program?
Absolutely. And if any of you don't work with either of us and you're wondering, If working with either or both would help you, the answer is just yes.
And we're basing that based on countless other people who have been through the process.
Yeah, it's no, I mean, you heard it here. Like, I'm one of Dr. Tara's success stories, and she's got multiple that are out there, and then a few of the Willful Warrior ones dropped in today.
Yeah, and it's really exciting the more and more science that's coming out on this, because that just makes everybody a lot more confident when they're making their healthcare decisions.
Exactly. I agree. And the funny thing is in my courses, I use this program called Visible Body Suite. So you get like a 3D view, and I pull your brain apart and show you what's happening and all of these other things. So it's fun because the further we tune into that, I always talk about it through a lot of what I work people through on the rewiring the nervous system side. It's like, you've heard about these things. It's like Santa Claus, though, because you've heard about it, but now you get to see it. You get to put your view on it. You get to actually conceptualize what's happening. And when you can do that, there's just this surrender, because what are you doing? You're sending those safety signals and I am home signals to your subconscious mind. So what does it do? It lets you do what you're doing.
And when you see the speed at which neurons grow in the brain, it's just validation. It's like, oh, okay, this is not woo-woo. This is actually literally changing your brain.
Yes. And if anybody wants to see any of that, just go into YouTube and type in neurons on the move, neural pathways forming.
And more and more, they're doing like QEEG brain scans of what a disordered brain looks like. And then after breath work, after hypnosis done properly, you just see this beautiful, even array of brain waves. And it's like, yes, of course, we all want to have that, because that is a measure of health.
Exactly. Yeah. You literally, now we can see the landscape, the internal landscape actually shifting. It's fascinating.
So thank you so much. For those that are listening to the recording, thewillfulwarrior.com is where you can get a hold of Leland's stuff. You can also go on YouTube and find his complimentary breathwork sessions that he provides there. Consulttara.com is where you can find me, or NashvilleHealer.com. It'll take you to the same place. Or you can find both of us on Next Level Healing. And thank you all for being here. Just a real pleasure to get to know everybody.
Yeah, same. Thanks for having me as always. This was fun.
Well, we're grateful. Leland is currently in Panama, and he had a power outage, so we're very grateful he was able to be here with us today.
Yeah, thank God for hotspots.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Ciao. Oh, and I will send you an email. We'll start that conversation, what the bridging looks like.
I'm actually really excited about that.
Same. When that popped out, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, we should just offer a platinum program for somebody that wants to pull out all stops and, change their lives.
I love it. Yeah, we'll talk about this.
Hold on one second. Let's see. There we go. One more second here.
Thank you all. We see the comments. Thank you. It was great having you.
Yeah, really appreciate all that positive feedback. Yeah, we had a really good array of people from all over the place here.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a really good mixture and all.
There we go. Now it's just us. So you're looking well. Are you feeling well? Is your health?
Yeah. I'm doing good. Now I'm just dealing with the energetic side. I have input for the stress reason of, oh my God, we had a lot to open up there. Last thing I felt like throwing in another bomb of I have shrunk all of my tumors by over 80%.
Oh my God.
Yes. Like this guy here that was the mole is less than the size of me. The one in my armpit completely got it metastasized to my lymph system, of course. It's very normal colon cancer to go that way.
Wait, it did metastasize to your lymph system?
Oh, yeah, and metastasized. I was sitting at over 26,000 parts per million on my white blood cell count. So I was like, between like feeling things that weren't there before, bleeding and cramping had started, and it was around my birthday last year. Like, yeah, birthday present, like tune in. But yeah, so I went in and reluctantly, because the bleeding and cramping started to get noticed, little growths. Like, hold on, that's not normal. I went in, got my complete blood count and some extras taken. And when it came back, they were like, holy Jesus Lord. Okay, yeah, you're sitting at over 26,000 parts per million. You're in the very high extreme side of your white blood cells being activated. So, and between that and everything else that I was already feeling on this one, the one behind my ear, it was like, okay. Yeah, and this is, so I started the work right away. Inevitably, they wanted a biopsy, they wanted a colonoscopy, they wanted to start on chemotherapy immediately, radiation, all that good stuff.
Did you do chemo?
No.
Oh, good for you. Oh my God.
Oh, hell no. I stayed away from all that stuff. That's why with them, I know better with the VA. Get a blood test, and even if it spikes very high, they will eventually forget about it. If you go forward and get a PET scan with them and they actually see the tumor, the tumor structures in your body, they will not leave you alone. Next thing you know, they're going to turn you over to the psychologist side of things because he's refusing to do the treatments and things. So I knew. I was like, okay, just don't do anything with them any further. So I'm working with private doctors down in Panama now for my scanning and all that.
So what did you do to change things? By the way, actually, this is a friend of mine. I think she got the time zone wrong.
Is it popping in right now?
she's actually a really, okay, she went. She's worked with me twice, both times on financial stuff, and just amazing how just by getting rid of the crap in her childhood, she just bloomed.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny because I've done anti-parasite protocol because, of course, a lot of the research I've done now over the past 3 years, MS and cancer, guaranteed 95%, as far as we can see from the emerging studies, 95%, if not more, created by parasites.
Well, I don't know if you know who Dr. Brian Ardis is. Do you know who he is?
Yeah, I follow Ardis, I follow Lodi, I follow all of those guys.
He was on my podcast about 6 months ago.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I know he thinks 80% at least of cancer is due to parasites.
Easily. And the more we go into it and like add on Dr. Thomas Lodi, like I eventually want to have him on, and somebody would be good on your show as well. You Western oncologist that walked away from all of that stuff.
This podcast is intended for the purpose of providing information and education. It does not provide advice and is not meant to be used for any self-diagnosis or the replacement of any kind of licensed professional. The creators and individuals appearing here do not endorse any specific tests, positions, medications, products, or procedures. The views and opinions are expressed in this podcast are of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.